first thoughts, the first thing that really hit me about it was all about the diversity and all those people working together. And it's talking about that. For me, I talked about all the different types I saw on the bridge there of the Enterprise, and I always saw, I'm Jewish, and I always saw Spock as a Jew. Because we are alien people,
which he was,
and even this symbol is a Jewish Kohen symbol from the ancient rabbis and priests.
I was actually going to bring it up, but it's been brought up for me.
I think Nimoy introduced it because he had seen it.
Yeah, that's right. So, what was I going to say? This was going somewhere. It's okay. You know, and in the new reissuing of the new timeline of the Star Trek movies, now they've made Sulu homosexual. I don't know how many of you picked that up in that small shot of the film, but in this timeline, he's gay. It says we can all be anything. And I think where we're going is, in this new series that they're about to do, and I know we weren't going to talk much about this, I'm just going to touch on it for just a second, is for the first time the series is not only following a woman like it did in Voyager, but the lead of the series is not a captain or running a space station. It's an ordinary person as part of the team. Yes, it is. It's no longer we have to follow the leader. It's like when they started, believe it or not, when they started The West Wing, they only signed Martin Sheen onto it to do only so many episodes in the first season because they wanted to try to run a show about the staff in the White House, not necessarily the president. And then, of course, the president was so great, Bartlett, and he was so fascinating that they kept bringing him in, and they realized, okay, we're going to go where it's leading us. But the new Star Trek is, for the first time, they're not following the captain. And I think that that's interesting. It's that it goes to the point that everybody is important. And that's what goes back to the original diversity model.
Can I move to the Prime Directive for a moment? I agree with everything you said.
So do I.
How many episodes and movies was the Prime Directive completely ignored in? So, we wanted those leadership positions to make decisions based on the information that they had at that time. So I want to step back from the sci-fi view of it for a moment and look at the production side. In Next Generation, the Borg, which are my favorite enemy species.
Oh, hell yeah.
Thank you. Good. We're seconding each other today. My favorite enemy species, and they were created because as we were moving more towards technology in our consumer lives and in businesses, people were scared of that, and it was a personification of this idea, going back to the archetypes and everything, the personification of this idea of what if technology consumes us. We have, in the real world right now, I would love to see Star Trek go in the future, late 24th. Let's move into the 25th century. Let's stop doing reboots and everything like that. But production value-wise, we have an abundance of technology. I think instead of a new set of rules, because the Prime Directive should probably be there 10 years before Kirk's mission, we'll have the Prime Directive, we'll have all these other things that are well established. But I would hope that the producers and showrunners and set designers and everyone else decide to move technology to the background a little bit. Let it blend into the set. Let it just be there, because that is what Gene Roddenberry's vision for technology in the future, and all of his props designers. If we have communicators and wearables and tricorders and phasers, now it's kind of, let's be human again. So I'm hoping to see that more than a new philosophical rule set. But then again, that's just me.
I just wanted to break with that for a second and go back to something you said about the landscape in which Star Trek first appeared, and just how different it was from everything else that was going on right there. You're right, 1967 was a very turbulent year. There was a lot going on, and here you have this show that was the antithesis, I don't know if that's the right word, of the culture at that point. There was a lot of paranoia, there was a lot of fear, there was a lot of, clashes, you're right, a war going on nobody wanted to be into, segregation, Russia, and there was all this fear. And then you have this show, this tiny little dot in the television landscape that, premiered, and I don't remember the ratings being that great when it first started. Barely registered. But it was bold enough to take on some of those issues, and disguising it as science fiction was able to get those ideas out there. How many people actually learned something through Star Trek? Okay, yeah, right? And it again goes back to the power of storytelling, but how amazing is that for a show at that point? Because what were they used to at that point? What was on in 1967? You had I Love Lucy. Yeah.
It was pitched as Wagon Train to the Stars.
Right, that's right, Wagon Train to the Stars. Actually, Lucille Ball is the one who saved Star Trek. Desilu Productions. They were the ones that okayed it. So, here's something that's completely different than anything that was on TV, and, not very popular at first, saved by the fans, by the way, and can we just note how remarkable that is for that particular, day and time. And we haven't really seen anything like that to transcend the eras, from its debut to its resurgence in syndication to creating new series based off of those original ideas, and it's still going. How remarkable is that for a show to transcend those eras with those same